I hope you're ready to hear about that true meaning of Christmas. It's time for that annual gathering where a pastor gets to tell you, it's not all about presents. It's not about stockings, No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. Because we all know this is about Jesus, right? We all know what we're doing here. I'll spare you a sermon that rails against the trappings of the holiday season. And the main reason, I'll be honest, I'm avoiding this, it's really just not on my mind at all. I don't know about you, but I have kids, so the holiday season is largely consumed by the schedule. The great schedule. In May, when they're like finishing school, it's like, we call it May-cember, at least I do, because it's so busy. Just like now, it's constant recitals and end of term exams, and there's plays, there's concerts, and then there's Christmas pageants. Now, admittedly, I kind of like those. I might be incredibly biased as well, because if you don't know this, that's what I get to do. I have the benefit of working with Amber, working with our kids on the Christmas pageant we do here. I also have the great benefit, the gift of getting to do the preschool Christmas pageant, and it's all impromptu, which is like organized chaos. But guys, I love that stuff. I love it. I love that energy of getting to tell this story again with a fresh take of how important this moment is for us. What a cool story with shepherds and angels and stars and fleeing in the night, going down their home in Bethlehem. It's really neat. Teachers from the preschool will often say to me before this thing, they'll say, "So you all practicing ready?" And I'm like, I've done this before. I don't know if you know, pastors tell this story a lot. So maybe that's why, particularly, I don't really get all jazzed up by that trope of, there's not enough Christ in Christmas. If you'd ask me, Jesus is all over this thing. It's a Jesus bonanza for a pastor. I'm talking about Jesus all the time, not just on Christmas. So I'm stuck. Because I think this year, as we hear that story, especially in that really unique, profound way where we light candles and hear again that really powerful story, the events that come together in this nativity story, it's commemorated in all these decorations and all these things, I think there is something bigger than that happening here. I think it's that thing that's creating the warmth, not the physical warmth. I'm sweating because I'm excited usually. But I think the warmth that you experience in the holidays, when you come together with family, maybe it's that feeling you get when you come in the church, you get in front of the poinsettia tree and you take your traditional family picture. There's warmth there. There's something powerful. This whole event, I think, is more than a celebration of the nativity story. Tonight, if you'll indulge me, I want to talk less about the events surrounding that story, and instead talk about the impact of that moment. The legacy of what it means, particularly, that Jesus showed up. So hear me out. Y'all know who God is, right? That, the one who formed the cosmos from a whisper in the beginning, spoke in the burning bush. He's a big, let me hear. Yes, you know who God is? Yeah, okay, good. That one, that guy, that individual, that powerful being, the one who knows no end, who knows no beginning, came here. Are we not blown away by this? See, I think Christmas sometimes it gets sort of mundane. Yeah, of course Jesus showed up, but the one who formed the cosmos came down. And what's wild about this event is that his birth at the time had no elaborate fanfare. There was no live coverage. There was nothing. It was really, surprisingly, a pretty private endeavor. If we read the stories, it was basically only attended by shepherds. Those are basically homeless dudes. They're just like, oh, okay, sure. So they were invited. And then there are angels, and they're not really great witnesses for what happened. Can't interview them afterwards. So it was really like a private thing that only a few people were privy to. So it's that moment, the thing that brings us here tonight. Because I think that was supposed to be, based on attendance alone, it was a pretty small affair. I think this night is celebrating something more. I see a lot of you here are wearing your Christmas sweaters. I got this sweater for Christmas. Wearing our Christmas gear. You're here, I think, to pay homage to that. We don't know it maybe, but think about this. You're here to honor a night, to spend time with family, and I would bet to feel that warmth, to experience the warmth that's found in community. My dad, I remember when I was a kid, he'd say, I like Christmas Eve service. And I go, yeah? And he goes, yeah, I don't have to pick up the hymnal or nothing. Because he knows all the songs. He said, this is just all hits. All classics. These ones I get. I know these ones. He's been to church. He knows what it is. Maybe it's the same for you. You love that sort of tradition, the vibe of it all, the nostalgia maybe. Kids back at the house, family together, the warmth. I want to say very clearly, that feeling is no small thing. Powerful. In church, we think that when we feel this, the warmth that comes from connection, from feeling connected to one another, to our own history, feeling that we're a part of something that's bigger than us, a big piece of this great big good news, that God came to dwell amongst us and say, you are comforted, my people. I'm here to bring comfort to those who need to be comforted. I'm here to provide accompaniment for those who feel alone. That is no small thing. So when we sing these songs, when we light candles, when despite challenges that may face us, we do this. We gather together in the midst of uncertainty, in the midst of questions about our own future. Maybe this is your first season that you're worshiping, experiencing the holidays without that loved one with you. Maybe we're mourning in the midst of this. Maybe we've lost a job. Maybe times have changed. Maybe it's not like it was in years past. You're missing perhaps that moment of magic, feeling something special. I hope when you come through these doors, when you hear these songs, when you sing, and I'll say it again, beautifully. When you sing these songs, you feel the community that formed us, gathering, breaking bread together at this table. I hope you see that you are together again with your family of faith. I want you to know that that sense of belonging and connection is God's hope for all people. It's not just some treasure we get to experience that we store up, but it's for all people. I want you to know in our very bones that God, big one, formed the cosmos from whispered, God is with us. We know Jesus is the reason for the season, but tonight we don't just honor a moment, a historical birth. We honor and give thanks that God decided to dwell amongst us, to walk with us. Because of that, it makes all the difference. How about you? I know for me, this night, I'm a gluttonous extrovert. The fact that there are so many people here, I'm just buzzing. I love church, I love coming here, but I tell you, what I'm doing here, I really am not here to celebrate infant Jesus. I'm here to celebrate Jesus who decided to sit with the lonely and say, I'm with you. I decided to join together and see all these people that understand. Jesus showed up to someone who was hungry and said, there is more than enough to share. There is more than enough for you. You will be filled. I want to celebrate the Jesus who created warmth in the hearts of people who thought they had no advocate, no one to speak for them. but in meeting him found another story embodied in a person who would stand between them and their accusers and say, first one who didn't make a mistake in their life can throw the first stone at this person. Beautiful. No offense to baby Jesus, but that's a powerful thing. Jesus did something amazing. In essence, tonight we're remembering God with us. We are reminded also that we are called to be with one another, right? This is a gift we've experienced, but not one we're meant to keep to ourselves. This is the night where we remember again we are called to honor a value. We are a people who are rooted in relationship to one another, rooted in this camaraderie and fellowship and friendship, knowing that nobody needs to do this thing alone. It wouldn't be a Christmas Eve sermon for me if I didn't make this reference, so you'll have to indulge me. I often have to quote perhaps my favorite Christmas movie of the season, and it isn't the BB gun one. I do like that one a lot. This is from A Christmas Carol. I think it captures that legacy of connection that is truly at the heart of this season, that thing that brings us the warmth, the love of knowing who God is, that Jesus is with us. So you guys know the famous character in Christmas Story, Fred? Well, that's his nephew. That's his name. That's Scrooge's nephew. So now we know. But at the beginning, Scrooge's nephew comes over, and remember, he's like inviting Scrooge to connection. Come on, join the family, have some dinner. And Scrooge is, bah humbug. He hates it. But there is a quote in there that I think captures so beautifully this rich tradition of connection that we live into daily. He says, I have always thought of Christmas time when it's come around as a good time. It's a kind, favoring, charitable time, a pleasant time. It's actually the only time I know of in the long calendar year when men and women seem to, by one consent, all together, open up their closed up hearts freely, see one another, think of one another as fellow travelers on their way to the grave, instead of as some wholly other race of creatures bound on other journeys. Ooh, I like that a lot. That at Christmas, it's the only time of year, he says, this is the time where we open up our hearts and see one another as fellow travelers, not as wholly other creatures. We see each other as partners. Is that not the Christmas story that God decided? No, I'm not going to be some wholly other creature, the one who spoke the cosmos into existence from a whisper. God didn't show up on some big cloud and throne. God showed up as a fellow traveler to be with us, to struggle with us, to walk with us. It doesn't say it, but I imagine Jesus needs some comforting when he was little. He had some tough nights. He needed his mom and dad to come check on him and tuck him back in. You know loneliness. So does God. To need someone to be with them, a fellow traveler. Folks, that's what it means for us to be a people of faith who are rooted in relationship. This season is not just about the historical birth of Jesus. It's about honoring the moment where God made this unbelievable decision to walk with us, to journey with us, to see us as brothers and sisters worthy of love and respect, to show in his words, his works, and ways that we are loved, worthy of that love. So this season, brothers and sisters, my invitation to you, as always, honor this time, a time together, times of connection, times of remembering who we are connected to this great history. But also, more importantly, honor the tradition here of reminding someone who needs to know reminding someone who might feel alone that they are not alone. Be with one another, to reach out to those who need to be told, I love you. Jesus loves you too. I'm with you. God is with you too. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Amen.